Salam sejahtera, Anda bersama saya Rizal Zulkafli dan ini Niaga Awal. Kita mulakan dengan perkembangan pasaran saham serantau. Saham di pasaran Asia Pasifik dijangka didagang tinggi pada hari ini dengan pelabur memberikan reaksi kepada angka pekerjaan yang lebih baik di Amerika. Ini memberikan harapan pemulihan ekonomi terbesar dunia itu adalah lebih pantas. FBM KLCI dijangka diniagakan tinggi minggu ini disokong kaunter tenaga dan juga kewangan berikutan harga minyak kukuh dan keputusan Bank Negara Malaysia kekalkan kadar dasar semalaman pada 1.75%. Menurut Ketua Strategi Pasaran Global XC Stephen Ines, indeks petunjuk pasaran itu dijangka diniaga antara 1,580 dan juga 1,610 mata minggu ini.
Tambahnya, keputusan OPEC Plus meneruskan pengurangan pengeluaran mereka telah meningkatkan harga minyak pada Jumaat. Sementara itu, prestasi ringgit pada minggu ini dijangka ditentukan oleh harga minyak serta pergerakan hasil bond perbendaharaan Amerika Syarikat. Pada Jumaat lepas, hasil bond perbendaharaan Amerika terus meningkat kepada 1.56% dan didagang tinggi sehingga 1.62%. Goldman Sachs jangka bond 10 tahun Amerika meningkat kepada 1.9% pada akhir tahun ini. Pada Ahad, Senat Amerika luluskan pelan rancangan $1.9 trilion yang antara lain menyambung bantuan pengangguran sehingga Julai dan bantuan tunai $1,400 kepada kebanyakan individu di Amerika. Ia dijangka diundi Dewan Perwakilan pada Selasa susulan perubahan termasuk penolakan kepada peningkatan gaji minimum kepada $15 sejam.
Dan bagaimanakah hasil bond 10 tahun Amerika Syarikat pada minggu ini dan juga apakah kesannya kepada pasaran dan bagaimana ini akan pengaruhi nilai ringgit berbanding mata wang dolar Amerika Syarikat? Kita bersama dengan Stephen Ines, Ketua Strategi Pasaran Global XC. Stephen, thank you for joining us. Stephen, the 10-year yield went up to about 1.62% before ending at around 1.56%. Goldman Sachs believes that the yield will end at 1.9% at the end of this year because of stronger economic data. How will investors react to this week?
Well, the U.S. yields will continue to test cross-asset sentiment. That's just the way it always is and the way it will always happen. But when we look at where yields are coming from, the base effect, the rise is not that extreme on an absolute sense. And to what degree this is going to hurt investor sentiment is very, very much open to debate, especially with the U.S. Fed terminal rate basically not budging. But more to the point, as we're looking at the front end of the curve, completely awash with cash right now, it's very, very cheap. So we've got a steep yield curve. We have almost zero at the front end and 1.6 priced into the 10-year. So what's happening here? Well, it says to me that the markets continue to reprice the Fed along the curve, but not inside of 2023. In such situations, I think this gives price evolution as far as growth concerns have ample room to grow. So when we do eventually reach to those inflection points when yields start to come in at 1.92%, even 2.25%, economic data will be very, very strong. So I view the rising yields at this stage more of a function of economic growth, but the markets are now starting to price in some Fed hike expectations, which is the negative part of it, but still the front end remains very flush, and this is extremely supportive for risk assets in the current market environment.
But how will this affect the dollar and ringgit for this week?
Well, the ringgit is sort of caught up into cross currents. We're looking at oil prices. Brent just blew through $70 today. Of course, that was due to an escalation in Middle East tensions, but oil prices have been very supported. However, rising bond yields are a bigger concern for Asia FX in general because it hurts risk sentiment, and it also makes a lot of the debt that is really sort of based on U.S. dollar bonds a lot more expensive to pay. So that's the first negative reaction we typically see in currency markets. And also, we're actually just starting to see the dollar strengthen, not because of its safe haven appeal, but because of the U.S. economic activity is picking up. Today, for instance, we saw an increase in Bloomberg's GDP outlook index for the U.S. it moved from 4.9% last month to 5.5%. I still believe that the market is grossly underpricing U.S. GDP. I think there's a potential for U.S. GDP to hit 7.5% and possibly even 8.5% this year. In comparison to China's announced 6%, there's a big difference there. This suggests to me that U.S. exceptionalism is coming back, which could possibly trigger a rotation out of Asian stocks into U.S. stocks. This is what currency markets are starting to read right now, and this is why the ringgit's getting weaker in spite of higher oil prices.
And the year-to-date return for Nasdaq is around 0.2% right now, and the yield is at 1.6 or 1.56%. Is there a chance that investors could perhaps move to the Treasury notes?
Yeah, the problem with the Nasdaq is just the length. The people have bought a lot of tech shares. People have bought a lot of stay-at-home stocks. Stay-at-home stocks could come into trouble on the reopening narrative, and that's pretty much owned by retail traders. We could see a bit of a wipeout at that. At some point, retail traders are going to have to cash in to just pay for living expenses, not to mention tax date coming up at April 15th in the U.S. All these, the piper always knocks on the door at some time, and the tax man's always there to collect his dues. But the other fact we have to remember is a lot of the tech shares are built on forward valuations. These valuations are very lofty. So when you change the interest rate denominator that you're present valuing back those interests, those future earnings from 0 to perhaps 2%, that's a significant drop. And that's a significant hit to future value earnings. It probably shaves off nearly 20%. Close to 20% of future earnings. And that's a lot. And that's something that we're going to have to deal with as interest rates go up. But on the other hand, as interest rates go up, it's a reflection of economic growth. So the cyclical component of the stock markets will eventually rise. Oil, commodities, banking stocks, all these typical traditional sectors will start to lift off, and they're perhaps might get weighted down a bit by tech, but tech's not going anywhere. Tech's not going to disappear because we're going to continue to use tech more so in the coming decade than we've ever had before.
And the February CPIs for both the US and China will be announced this week. What can we expect from these announcements, and how will investors react to this?
Well, they're going to go higher, and that's simply a function because of the oil prices and also the fact that supply chains remain disrupted. I think it's it's a bit of a pass-through. I don't think markets are going to get too overly concerned up or down tick on inflation numbers. Well, they will. I shouldn't say that. They will react because there's so much inflation expectation coming into the market, but the reaction will be relatively mild. When inflation becomes important, it's more towards the summertime. But where it becomes extremely important is how that summertime inflation, Morris, will it be transitory or is it going to be long-lasting? Will it actually continue in 2022? That's where I believe inflation is going to be a bigger story, not in 2021, but rather in 2022. And this is what could force the Fed's hand to raise interest rates from 0 up to a small, maybe 0.25% or even 0.5% to defend against inflation.
And these expectations that inflation could rise faster because of higher oil prices, will this hurt recovery that is hoped to happen this year?
Yeah, of course, the higher oil prices are not good for in any stand for an economic recovery, especially for the colossal oil importing engines over here in Asia. But of course, oil exporters sort of like higher oil prices. And look, like OPEC rules the roost right now. I mean, there's shale oil response to higher prices, totally inelastic. In other words, they're just not producing. There's focuses on making profits as opposed to increasing production. And that's different. Whether that changes, we'll have to keep an eye on it. My belief is it'll change in the second half of the year, where shale oil will be more responsive to higher price. I mean, it's hard to ignore $70 per barrel on Brent. I mean, that's just too much to keep oil in the ground. So I think at some point there will be a move from private investors back into the oil, but not right away. I think they want to see how long-lasting this rise in oil is going to continue on.
On that note, thank you very much, Stephen Ines, for joining us this morning. Ketua Strategi Pasaran Global XC membincangkan berkenaan dengan jangkaan hasil bond 10 tahun Amerika Syarikat dan juga kesan kepada ringgit dan dolar dan juga dagangan pada minggu ini. Kita akan berhenti berehat seketika, kembali selepas ini.